Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to share with you guys my outdoor chore routine, or I guess what I was up to today. So we are gearing into the fall months. It's still pretty hot outside here in Southern California, so it was like 90 to 100 degrees on this day. So I was in shorts and getting work done, but we are kind of prepping for fall, not only in the garden and for what we're going to grow, but just all around the yard. I thought I would show you what I'm up to today, which chores are always different depending on the day and the week and the month, but this was what I was doing today. So on our property, we grow food in different areas. We have about 3 acres, just under 3 acres. It's all gated in, but we have an inner and outer portion of our property. So the inner portion is kind of like a more traditional backyard where we have grass, and then we have our culinary garden and our herb garden. This area right here it's on kind of the outskirts of our property. It's next to the chicken coop, so it's a little farther away from the house. We also did not have garden beds for this area, so what we did was we prepped the soil, we used our compost, and we did some tilling and turning and prepping it the season before, and then we did large lines and experimented with watermelons, squash, zucchini, and pumpkins. We had much better luck this year with pumpkins than we did last year. We had no luck with pumpkins last year, but this year we got about 6 or 7 large pumpkins. And then we got these small white ones, which they're all edible. You can cook them the same way you would cook squash. I'm gonna use them to decorate, and then once I feel like it's time, I'm gonna pull them and use them to cook with them. So this is an example of kind of the rabbits eating away at the pumpkin. So they're not perfect looking, but that pumpkin looked pretty nice, and then I got a cool green pumpkin. And then lots of watermelon. We got over 100 pounds of zucchini, so we were eating and donating and sharing a lot of zucchini. So today the plan was to pick whatever was left over. So we got a nice little harvest, we picked everything, and then we just wanted to mow all the vines and everything that was left over. Before we did that, we had to move the irrigation. So we're just kind of moving the vines and everything out of the way of the irrigation. Then we're gonna move that. Then we're gonna let the chickens come over and enjoy whatever they want. There's lots of little bugs and little leftovers for them to enjoy. So they're gonna go at it for a few hours. And then once they do that, we have all the leftovers that go into the compost. And the compost is what we use as soil to feed not only our garden beds, our pots, anytime we want to grow anything. We have a really rich compost that we've been working on for the last few years, so we're adding to that. And then we can also use that in this area come spring when we begin to plant seeds for what we want to grow in the spring. So right here you can see us moving the irrigation. And over to the right there, we're starting to grow a few trees. We have maybe about 8 trees right now, and we're kind of experimenting with the beginning of an orchard going up the hill. When the chickens are out free ranging, that's a good time for me to clean the coop, which needs to be cleaned out every few weeks. It definitely starts to smell and attract flies. I'm going to collect the eggs, and then I'm going to clean out all the hay that's inside of the chicken coop right now, which also has a lot of poop. And we have these little containers that they lay in, so they go in there every morning and they sit in there and they lay their eggs, and then they kind of let you know, like, I finished laying my eggs, and then they go out. So all of them are out free ranging right now, so I'm taking all the old hay and the chicken poop with it. This is actually really, really great for your compost because it's rich with nitrogen. Chicken poop is awesome for compost, which ends up being what you use for soil for continuing to grow anything in the future. So none of this goes to waste. It all gets used to continue to grow. And in terms of the eggs, we get about a dozen eggs a day, some days more, some days less, and we donate. We've been selling them to local food trucks. My husband has a few chef friends that like to buy farm fresh eggs. We consume them as well and give them to family and friends. And then sometimes we feed them back to the chickens. It kind of just depends on how many we have. I'm putting fresh hay inside of the chicken coop, which is what I do every time I clean it out. So there's no more poop in there, it's all fresh hay. I cleaned out their little laying baskets and put fresh hay in there, and it's all ready to go. I'd say this takes me an average of like a half an hour to really get it nice and clean, and then it smells so much better and it's ready to go. So this portion right here is the inner portion of our backyard, and I think I shared in previous videos that my husband extended the fence line to make room for our garden, and then he has like a little thin fence up just to prevent rabbits from completely destroying it. So the fence was previously right where the garden starts, so you can see the little area where the garden starts. That was where the fence was before, and now it's behind the garden. And when we first moved into this house, we did have kind of like gardeners who would come and just mow the lawn and clean up leaves and things that have shed from the trees. But as we kind of started doing this more ourselves, we ended up really deciding to do the chores ourselves on the weekend. So Byron always mows the lawn every weekend, and we clean up the tree trimmings. Once again, everything that we clean up gets used somehow on our property. So with the grass, we use it as mulch, and also with the tree trimming. So like the eucalyptus tree, we have a few different compost piles, or we've been starting to build different piles for different areas of the property. So we have like a mulch pile, we have our traditional compost. So yeah, everything kind of gets reused, nothing gets thrown away. And recently we actually had all of our trees trimmed, and so we have this pile here of all the wood chippings, which work great for around the property as mulch. And then you can see all of the leaves that drop from the trees, that it ends up all over our back porch. So we kind of blow it into a pile and then pick it up and clean it up and put it into our compost or into our mulch pile. Both of us were raised in Southern California. Neither of us were raised on property, so this is kind of new to us and something we've grown to learn and love. And during the summer, Byron and I definitely do our fair share of chores in flip-flops and sandals. Things will start to cool down a little bit, and of course we wear boots. And depending on where we're working, certain areas of the property we pretty much do wear boots just because it's a little safer in terms of critters and anything that could be stepped on. But for right now, we are in sandals, just cleaning up the inner and outer portion of the property. And this, we actually haven't seen, we've seen one snake on our property the entire time we've lived here, and it was a non-venomous snake. So we have yet to see one, but that is always a possibility as well. So I'm cleaning up everything that he blew into a pile. I'm just picking it up, and I'm gonna carry it on over to the back of the property where we have our little mulch pile. The last thing that I have to get done today is cleaning out the chairs and the table that we have out in front of our herb garden, which we did a lot of summer dinners outside. Normally I would put this away, but we don't really have harsh winters here, obviously, in Southern California. We do get some rain, but these are weatherproof, and they just need a good cleaning every few weeks to every few months. Just kind of depends. I keep an eye on it, and if we're eating out there more consistently, I'm obviously keeping it clean. We're going to extend it. Right now we're adding the inner piece to extend it, which this was last year. I put this away in our shack, and then we brought it out in the summer, and we had a bunch of summer dinners. So it's still pretty warm, so we might have a few more dinners before it starts the rainy season. And then I'm going to treat it with mineral oil. and that's just going to keep the table looking nice for a long time. We've had this table for a while and it's held up really, really nice, especially for an outdoor table. So I usually wipe and wash, and then I'm going to dry it. Then I'm going to add the mineral oil. I use the mineral oil that we use for our cutting boards. And again, that really helps. It makes it look like a brand new table. This table I got, a lot of you ask me, I got it at just kind of like a local, back when we lived in Westlake, there was an outdoor, I think called Patio World, maybe? No, I can't remember the name. I'll try to look it up for those of you who are interested. It was just a local store, and we got this table, and it's held up really, really well. I really love the lanterns. I kind of move those around depending on the time of the year. Usually in the fall, I'll move them to the front of the house. For winter, for Christmas time, but I like one on the table with a candle. I usually put some type of bug repellent candle because usually when we're out there having dinners during the summertime, we have a lot of flies and bugs and things like that. So. So that completes today's video. I've had so many requests specifically to see how I clean the chicken coop, but also just kind of updates on what we're growing and kind of what my routine looks like in terms of chores. So I wanted to share with you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this video and found it semi-interesting. And I'm excited for fall videos coming soon and more videos, so thank you so much. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.